Diamond P Sports presents the American Sports Cavalcade. A panorama of speed, color, drama, and excitement. The American Sports Cavalcade. They are the big boys on the block, crowd pleasers wherever they go. They are the monster trucks, and we have them right here for you today at the Houston Astrodome.
Hello, I'm Paul Page, and those monster trucks certainly have their share of noise and excitement. Quite a contrast to the peace, the tranquility of the Gulf of Mexico, not far from Houston. Well, we've got plenty of noise and excitement coming up for the TNT All-American. Not only the monster trucks themselves, but two different categories of pulling. In fact, let's go over to the Houston Astrodome right now. My colleague, Steve Evans.
Paul, what would you get if you took a 1,700 horsepower supercharged engine out of a drag racing top alcohol dragster, about, 24 feet in wheelbase, and put it in an 8-foot-long chassis? Well, you'd get a nasty little critter like this one, what the pulling sport calls a mini rod. And today we bring you this competition for the very first time. And actually, this engine is bigger than drag racing even allows. This is 572 cubic inches of blown areas. Now, typical dragster design here, the bell housing with a multi-disc clutch inside, a Lenco 2-speed like many of the drag racing cars use. The steering wheel is similar, the roll cage and seat is similar. And back in the drivetrain department, again, you'll find this kind of differential at drag strips all over the world, the Dana 60 with a magnesium center section. So to apply the word rod to this machine is very appropriate. Now, for the third category of competition, let's go to the newest member of the Diamond P Sports broadcasting team. Meet Pat Patterson.
Well, thanks very much, Steve. The third category of vehicles and the first pullers tonight in the Astrodome will be the four-wheel drive machines. Now, this is Russ DeForce's Outlaw out of West Palm Beach, Florida, and some machine it is. These are fuel-injected machines, and they make about 1,000 horsepower, average about 1,000 horsepower amongst all of these trucks. The real secret, Steve, is the weighting on the front end of these machines. These machines, you don't want to see the wheels come up when they take off. You want to make sure that weight displacement keeps those front wheels on the ground, because with four wheels turning, the more wheels turning and the more power on the ground, the faster they can get the sled down the straightaway that they've got to run. They're exciting machines, and this is one of the most competitive classes, so you're really going to see a good show. It's a pleasure to be with Diamond P, and things are getting started. Let's go back to Paul Page.
Well, we're set for the action. There's Ron Hickson. He's going to be a key factor in most of the evening because he keeps track of this machine. That's the decision maker. He determines the weight, how fast it's going to move, and he'll be making the determination for this man. Our first puller, that's Manuel Moreno, the Yellow Rose of Texas.
We saw Manuel win here in the Astrodome a year ago. He is already underway. Again, 6,200-pound 4x4 vehicles. Manuel with an engine well over 600 cubic inches, a beautifully designed truck, and what would appear to be a fairly good pull. Of course, we won't know until we see the competition behind him.
Well, Steve, they set the full pull distance at 300 feet. Moreno pulls 277.46, but right down the middle. Looks like he had good control. He might be able to dig in a little more.
Let's take a look at the replay. You remember Pat Patterson said the balance was everything, the weighting on the front axle? Well, Manuel appears to have everything just right there. We saw a little puff of smoke out of the left bank of the engine, so it might be just a taste down on power. But this is what a four-wheel drive truck pull should look like. Manuel Moreno, Seguin, Texas.
Yeah, the machine is set out nice and flat, which means he's getting traction on all four wheels, and that's critical here. Now, the next puller is Michael Johnson. The vehicle is the Oklahoma Showdown. But first, let's find out what Manuel Moreno thought about his run. As we go down to the far end, here's Pat Patterson.
Okay, your first impression.
I had a good run, and I think that'll be hard to beat me now.
Now, the last time you said that, here on TNN. You stood around here and you won it. You think you can do this again?
I think we can.
All right, Manny, hang around. We'll see what happens.
Thank you.
Okay, Manuel Moreno has set the distance to shoot at 277.46 feet. And here's the man hooking. That's the correct term in this sport. This is Michael Johnson in Oklahoma Showdown. Now, this is the S10 version of the Chevrolet pickup with the big block engine. Chevrolet called it a big block at 454. If these guys can't get it to 600 inches, it's just a tiny little motor, Paul.
Yeah, and you saw them hook up a very key instrument there. That's the safety shutdown. If for any reason that would unhook, it will also shut the vehicle down immediately, so it's very safe.
Now, it looks as if Michael might have the weight bias towards the rear a little bit. The front tire's not getting the kind of traction they need, and he digs a hole as the weight transfers 266.07 feet, and that will put him into second place right now. You can see the exhaust header sticking up there and the giant air cleaner on the top of the carburetors. There are no superchargers allowed in this category.
I think you called it exactly right, Steve. The back end, now watch the relative dig from the back to the front. I think he's got the weight sitting just a little bit too far to the back. That's something that he can adjust if he comes back for another pull. But you see that the front tends to be spinning. It also looks, Steve, like his course might be a little hard and a little slick.
And the competition to come, it will be interesting to see where they line up. Each driver can pick his own spot at the starting area, and they may try to get away from the particular ruts that have been dug by Moreno and also Johnson. Again, the distance here, 266.07 feet for the second position in the standing so far in this 4x4 truck pulling class.
And you can bet that every driver to come is back watching the run, watching where they are. Well, two on board, only one of them human, and that's Robert Smith. Bob Smith in the Three Bears, and you, I guess, understand why.
Well, Paul, in the cockpit are just two bears, so the other one must be under the hood, huh?
Must be the vehicle itself. Sometimes I'm not sure why they name any of these things the way they do. All right, he's back, he's hooked, he's ready to go. The revs come up. Looks like he came off a little slow. He might have been afraid of digging in. He's got a nice pull going, though. Nice even traction on all four wheels in this four-wheel class.
But again, neither he nor Johnson appeared to have the initial kind of wheel speed that Manuel Moreno enjoyed. And indeed, he comes up a foot short even of Johnson at 265.52 feet, and that will put him in that third position.
Yeah, you have to be careful with it. On one hand, you got to get as much wheel spin as possible. On the other hand, if you have too much wheel spin, then you lose all the traction. With 3 pulls completed, Moreno is at the top of the order with that pull of 277.46 feet. The full pull was set at 300. We'll be right back.
There's thunder in the Astrodome. Welcome back, everyone, to the TNT All-American. I'm Steve Evans, along with Paul Page and Pat Patterson. And here is our fourth puller in the four-wheel drive truck class, Robert Gallahan, Manassas Red, it's called, and for a real good reason, from Manassas, Virginia.
And a bright red truck. It really reflects the light here in the Astrodome. 277.46 feet. That's the distance to beat. Up on the decision maker, he'd make sure it's all hooked up right and that the weight is set right. And from his perch high up on the back, that's the responsibility of Ron Hickson.
All right, Robert Gallahan is ready to take his try. Remember, there's no practice in this sport. Robert has to hope that he's selected the right gear in which to pull this sled. He has a choice of a few at the special transmission. The weight box plans for it and drags Robert to a halt, but not before he takes the #1 spot.
Boy, that was a nice little run. 283.7 feet. He really came out with just enough traction, and like everyone else, I'm impressed they've all been pulling right down the middle. Good, clean run.
Oh, absolutely, and the toe-in on the vehicle, well, take a look. See how the tires are towed in? Now, that may be to help throw that dirt off to the side so that it doesn't pile up in front of the rear wheels and just give them extra duty.
That also helps the thing steer straight. Anytime you get some toe in there, it does help the steering on the machine. In the four-wheel drive, steering can be critical. You can see he gets just enough wheel spin. He looks like he's got pretty good balance. The thing is rocking nice and even. That means that the weight is transferring properly. He seems like he should be satisfied with that run. Manassas Red takes the lead.
Well, Robert, that's how you wanted to start.
Yeah, it's a pretty good start there. I don't know how it's going to hold up. I might have had the wrong gear, but it's put me in the lead right now, but there's a lot of good trouble.
Anything you think you can do to make it any better?
Maybe come up 1 gear, but we'll have to wait and see.
Good run.
Thank you.